Lauren Wallace with Georgetown County Parks and Recreation. Today I'm joined by Coach Jimmy Noonan, Georgetown High School, and Randy Walker, Georgetown County Parks and Recreation. We welcome you to our next installment of our virtual recreation series. Today we're going to be talking with Randy Walker and Coach Jimmy Noonan. A couple of housekeeping things. As you can tell, we're practicing social distancing during this time. We also got our hand sanitizer here, which we've used prior to. So it's important. We just want to reiterate that. So with that, welcome. Randy, you want to introduce Coach here?
Sure. Yes, good morning, everybody. Happy to be here again to bring you some parks and recreation stuff that we can do while your kids are sitting at home. I'd like to introduce to you the next football coach at Georgetown High School, and I'll let him tell us, Coach, a little bit about yourself.
Well, appreciate it, Randy. Happy to be here. Happy to be in Georgetown. Coach Noonan, he grew up in Sumter, South Carolina. Played athletics. I think I started in preschool. From preschool on, and continued really baseball, basketball, and football all the way through high school. So, three-sport athlete. I believe in being well-rounded as an athlete. So, obviously, can continue with that same thought process throughout the coaching career. I found myself not being able to get football out of my blood. So after going to the Citadel and playing ball there, I decided, heck, I switched majors so that I could coach and give back to what has become such a strong part of my life. My father was a head football coach at Sumter, and I just followed suit.
Good. Sounds good. Coach, you started from a young age. So that kind of brings us, actually that's a great first question. So starting at a young age, why do you feel that participation in sports, football, contact football, flag football, or any sport, why do you think that's important for our youth today?
Well, first of all, being active is not something you can cut a light switch on later in life. It starts early. Competing early, it becomes part of you, and I stress early on. You can always gain an exercise routine when you get older, but athletics, being a part of athletics early on it just becomes a life set, a lifetime mentality. And the earlier you can get started, the better. And being successful in athletics, and being a competitor is something that you can't cut off. It's a light switch that is always on. It doesn't matter whether it's a transition from basketball to baseball to football to lawn darts to swimming to kayaking. It doesn't matter what it is. Being active is a mindset, and it starts early on. And I can't stress that enough. And I started organized athletics as from the time I could walk, and it didn't matter what sport it was. I think my parents probably wanted to get me out of the house more than anything else. But I as a youngster, I just lived for that next activity, that next opportunity. And it didn't matter whether I was trying to balance two sports at the same time. I just wanted to compete. I just wanted to go and beat that guy. But more than anything else, be active, be outside. I can remember my mom, she'd kick us out. I had an older brother. He was actually only 9 months older than me. That's another story. But they kick us out. She'd kick us out of the house as soon as the sun was up in the morning.
Yes.
I think she probably.
I can remember those days.
I think she probably put a sandwich on the windowsill around lunchtime.
Don't come in the house.
Don't come in. Drink out of the hose, and we'll see you at dinner time after you cleaned up. But it is part of a lifestyle that you can't start early enough, and it stays with you. It really does. For somebody to say that it doesn't, I'll disagree with that all day long.
Well, I agree with Coach right there. Now, I was once asked a question, what does athletic have to do with life? Well, for me as a youth player, since I was a kid like yourself, high school, college, I think it builds so much character, not only social skills, but that ability to persevere in times. Because if you're competitive on the field or the court, it carries over into life, and it's times when you thought you might have given up, there's something that kicks in that says you could go that extra distance. So I want kids to know that you can go the extra distance, even sometimes when we don't feel like we can. What do you say to that, Coach?
That competitive mentality, I'll go back to that as well. It doesn't matter whether you're getting out and trying to beat your mile time from yesterday.
Yes.
It stays with you. The ability
Yes.
to get out there and better yourself. And of course, when you get into team athletics, team sports, it teaches you so much more. It teaches you how to be a good citizen, because it's not about you anymore. It's about the benefit and betterment of everybody else. The number one thing that you gain from team sports is that, hey, what I do is important. What I do, I'm accountable for everybody else around me. And if I'm not carrying my load, or if I'm having a bad day, it affects everybody. And, team athletics is just, first and foremost, I think it creates better citizens more than anything else. And today's world, it's so easy to get caught up in your own little world with your blinders on. And that's just, and I think we feel that as a community sometimes. And I'm new to this community, but I do know that from the very get-go, being a part of team athletics, it helps the community. It helps young people make better decisions, because my decisions affect everybody as well. And I can't say enough about that and what organized youth athletics does for the community.
That's a great point, Coach. You mentioned quite a few things. I mean, I was picking it out as you were throwing everything from, and Randy, like you said, perseverance, discipline, and starting early and building those habits early. And you can start building habits later on, but if we start early, I mean, that kind of lays a framework for our path forward. Talk about accountability. I mean, when you do start playing those team sports, like you said, we are accountable to one another, and what I do will have consequences for, kind of the greater good. So all of those things are very, very important when it comes to sports and just activity in general. So with that being said, that kind of brings up an interesting point in that, as you mentioned today, kids are kind of in their own world. What are some ways that you feel like that parents or even coaches or staff here, like at the Recreation Center, what are some of the things that you think that we could do to kind of help encourage kids, hey, get out, be active, kind of recognize the world around you?
Well, of course, as adults in the community, our leadership and our knowledge of just getting out there and showing the skills of individual sports, showing the skills and fundamentals of team sports, because the more comfortable the kids are, the more time that they're willing to put into it, because they're more successful. You look at, as far as the team concept goes, you look at what our the hierarchy of this country, and the politicians are asking us all to be team players right now.
That's right.
To social distance ourselves. And you look at some of the lack of willingness by some of the next generation. You see them congregating on the beach or wherever on TV, hey, be a team player.
That's right.
This is what we're asking you to do for the benefit of the team. And so it all correlates. But as far as our youth and being able to take their first step in athletics, the earlier the better, the more comfortable they are, because it is all building blocks. It's building blocks. You can't expect somebody to get out there and run a veer offense unless you teach them how to, how to see your first. It always starts with their first step.
Right. That's right.
You can't expect them to go out there and know what a post route is, and when heck, this first time they're actually catching a football.
Right.
It all builds on itself, and it's important that they learn the basic fundamentals of everything they do, even to keep them safe. In a weight room, we'll start with absolutely no weights, no bars. We'll teach them just to bend down properly and pick something up off the floor.
And see, I bet you got some guys who probably think, look, when you do that, they're like, what are you talking about? That's nothing. But that kind of goes to your point, you know, it really doesn't matter. You've gotta start somewhere. You gotta start small, and kind of going back, those mechanics of actually performing that lift correctly. I mean, that's just as important as being able to, you know, to bench 250, 300 pounds. I mean, it is the mechanics that lays the framework and foundation, you know, for your future career or for that future, you know, path that you're on. So, and I think that's important. And again, that's one of the things that, you know, we want to do, and we try to do with our youth sports. You know, we get a lot of parents and coaches, you know, sometimes come to us like, well, you know, our kid can do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's true to a certain degree, but we want to make sure that your child has a good understanding of those foundational fundamentals. Because like you said, what we do in rec ball, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what we do in rec ball, those are those building blocks for when those kids decide to play school ball.
They sure will, and of course, you know, I really have only met our players over at Georgetown once or twice, 3 or 4 times in the weight room before everything shut down. But that's one thing that we take pride in, is hitting that reset button every year. Everything that happened the year before is reset. The good, for a healthy reason, that you're not resting on laurels. But the bad, forget about it. It's the next play. It's the next year. So when you hit that reset button, you've got a new group of seniors every year. It's the building blocks. Well, first thing we're going to end up doing, and of course the youth in our community, you'll find out this coming summer, I hope. I don't have a crystal ball to know what this virus is going to do. But I hope that you're going to meet our seniors, because I'm going to put them in a mentorship role where we're going to have at least 3 free camps, 3 free nights, where we're going to get into the specifics of quarterback and receiver play, defensive back play, O-line and defensive line play. And the instructors are going to be our seniors. And it's going to put them in a mentorship role. And for them to be able to teach it means they know it.
Right, that's right.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, we're probably not going to have the ability to go through a spring practice. So we're going to be, our summer is going to be very imperative. Y'all hear that with Georgetown players. I hope y'all cluing in as well, because our summer is going to be, it's going to have to be intense.
Well, Coach, as a youth player, you know, I often think back on 1 or 2 of the most important things that a coach told me or taught me that I thought that really advanced me as an athlete, because they showed me the proper way. So what do you think the importance of having knowledgeable people, even on the recreation level, to coach our kids?
Well, you know, I always attribute it to, I guess, the workforce, and their part of the process is an assembly line.
Yeah.
Well, our youth coaches are at the very beginning of that assembly line. And the final product is what everybody takes pride in. Say, that guy's signing on and going off to play college football.
Yeah.
But that's the final product. If we don't get the very beginning right, then the whole assembly line, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So our youth coaches, it's the foundation. It's like building a house. You don't start with the roof, you start with the
Foundation.
slab.
Yes.
And I tell you what, the foundation is so important, because the fundamentals got to be taught, or the final product suffers at the top end.
Exactly.
But more importantly, is the kids, they got to be loved, they got to be nourished, and fundamentals is another thing. But the kids got to have fun. If they don't have fun, they're not going to move on down the line.
I agree.
If they get a bad experience at an early age, well, they're getting off that assembly line.
That's right.
Right. And you know, it's
and that's
like,
a shame.
It's like playing basketball. It's fun every kid to hit a 3-point shot. Okay, they see Steph Curry, he knocking them 3, 4, 5 at a time. But they didn't realize that Steph Curry could also dribble that ball and drive to the basket. The old easy way to score 3 points and get fouled.
Right.
So all they see is the clamor of the 3-point shot. Now, buddy, it's a lot more to do before you get to that point. At the end of the assembly line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I appreciate our youth coaches, and it's one of the things that we'll eventually do is to have our own coaching clinics. We'll have our staff available at any time for our youth coaches. It'll be an open door policy. Obviously, we'll benefit from incorporating some of our schemes at a very beginner's phase, but we look forward to that. We look forward to the growth. We look forward to working with our youth, and I'm just excited about their development as well, because ultimately, I'm down here at the end of the assembly line. I need to take a lot of focus and attention at the beginning as well.
And Coach, that's a perfect segue, and that'll be great in our next session with you. So everybody stay tuned. We'll come back again with Coach. But a couple things before we leave. You made some great points. First one is, everybody out there listening, we're going to offer some online coaches training, so look for that link below in this video as well. You get with us, we'd love to get you. If you're interested in coaching and you want to be a part of the game that you loved when you were growing up and still love, please visit that link below, get in contact with us. Look forward to the clinics that you're going to be offering. I think you're dead on. I think that kind of will help to instill not just the fundamentals, but the fun. I mean, that'll kind of be fun for everybody involved. Well, Coach, with that being said, today at home, we got kids out there, they're social distancing because of the crisis we're facing, and we want them to continue to be good team players, to continue to follow the guidance of our leaders. So with that being said, what is something that you think that they could do at home today, practicing appropriate social distancing measures to be fit or active?
Well, heck, first thing first is, you got to keep everybody safe, as you said before. But if you do have a healthy buddy, might live next door, get out and throw the ball. Just get out and throw a ball. If you've got a basketball goal, get out there and shoot layups and shoot hoops without, I guess, throwing elbows and touching each other. And we got to take care of each other. But get outside. And moms and dads, I'm not out. Even though my mom locked me out the door at 8 o'clock at sunrise and brought me in at sunset, I know that every situation is a little bit different. And we'll always keep that in mind, keeping our kids safe, and knowing what they're doing. But if they've got a ball in their hand, I can tell you it's probably 90%, 95% is going to be a positive thing if they got a ball in their hand. And of course, they have good people around them. Sounds good.
Well, everybody, you guys heard that. Get outside today. Go outside, practice safe social distancing, but get outside, get active. And we look forward to seeing you in our next video.